The Dell XPS line has been the gold standard among laptops for some time now. Though some models stumble a bit, at least in relation to the heights of the best versions of the XPS, these laptops typically ooze quality and elegance. The Dell XPS 179730 reviewed here certainly does that. It's a fantastic laptop in almost every aspect. Of course, you miss out on the portability that makes the smaller versions such perennial members of our best Ultrabooks guide. This is on the heavier, bulkier side. But if you're looking at this review, you might prioritize size over portability, and are okay lugging 5 pounds around from time to time. If you don't need something that you can easily throw in a backpack for on-the-go work, the Dell XPS 17 is among the best laptops for its performance, including the fact that it can handle editing work and gaming, and elegant design. In fact, it's powerful enough that you might prefer it over a desktop. And you can customize it to compete with some of the best gaming laptops on the market. The one big downside here is that upgrading tends to inflate the price quite a bit, and quite quickly. If you want to spend over $4,000/3,500 you can certainly make that happen with the Dell XPS 17. At least, it also comes with a gorgeous screen, especially if you upgrade to the UHD Plus resolution that our review unit sports. It doesn't have a super fast refresh rate, but it's sharp with a color coverage and accuracy that will placate most users that need to do a little editing work. If you're looking for a larger laptop with more screen real estate with plenty of power, you can't go wrong with the XPS 179730. Think of it as a high-quality desktop replacement that you can take on the road when you really have to or that you can lock away when you're not at your desk. Just be prepared to pay for it, and maybe invest in an external webcam. Though the Dell XPS 17 isn't technically an Ultrabook, it comes from Ultrabook stock. After all, the Dell XPS 13 is the standard bearer for the category. It's no wonder then that the Dell XPS 17 comes with the kind of premium price tag that these types of laptops come with. Of course, part of that is the fact that even the base configuration, which goes for $1,599, comes with some powerful specs including an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4050. Still, the price of entry is nowhere near budget. Also, it seems that the model with an RTX 4050 is only available in the US for UK and Australian readers. The base model starts with the more powerful yet also more expensive RTX 4060 GPU. In Australia, the base model comes with a 13th Gen i7 processor, RTX 4060 GPU, 16GB of DDR5 RAM and 512GB SSD storage for $4,298.80. In the UK, the base model is more expensive, and while it comes with mainly the same specs as the Australian Dell XPS 17 base model, it only offers a minimum of 32GB of DDR5 RAM and 1TB SSD storage for £2,698.99. You'll have to spend even more if you want the review unit with its 32GB of RAM, slightly more powerful RTX 4060, and UHD Plus screen. Specifically, you'll have to spend $1,949/3,099, about $2,990 Now, the best 17-inch laptops usually aren't cheap. You can save a little money on an LG Gram if you don't need all that power and want something a little more lightweight and portable. But you're still spending around $1,400 on one. If you're okay with a more gaming aesthetic and want some power to go along with that large screen, there are some other budget-ish options, such as the Acer Nitro 17. Its starting price of $1,249.99, around £980/$1,860, offers a bit of a saving, though you won't end up with quite as elegant of a computer. As you would expect with a 17-inch laptop, the Dell XPS 17 is large. And unlike some models such as the LG Gram, it owns it instead of trying to balance that with portability. It weighs over 5 pounds to start, which while technically portable, is not the kind of weight you want to carry around all day if you're hopping from coffee shop to coffee shop. The Dell XPS 17 is not for that person. Instead, it offers the kind of components that typically can't fit in those smaller models. So, it comes with a dedicated GPU. You can choose between the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4050, 4006, 4070, and 4080, and you can also max out specs that you'd otherwise couldn't with a smaller and thinner laptop, as you can upgrade to up to 64GB of RAM and 8TB of storage. Since this is a Dell XPS laptop, it's also a gorgeous computer with a platinum silver exterior machined aluminum shell with a black carbon fiber covering around the keyboard. It's like a BMW version of a laptop. Since it's on the bigger side, that means it comes with a large 17-inch screen. While I'll go into further detail on the display below, I'll just mention for now that it has infinity-edged bezels, so they're tiny, and the upgraded UHD Plus version reviewed here also has touch capabilities. On that note, the panel feels very high quality when using the touch functionality. Port-wise, the Dell XPS 17 skews a bit more ultrabookish with just 4 Thunderbolt ports and an SD card reader. However, all the Thunderbolt ports have power delivery and DisplayPort capabilities, so you can use an adapter to plug into an external display if that monitor doesn't have USB-C inputs. Since I'm used to using smaller laptops, the large keyboard and trackpad are a bit of an adjustment. However, they're also of high quality and don't create any issues other than being different from what I'm used to. Probably the biggest adjustment is that the keyboard is set further back than I would like. But again, that's just personal preference. As someone who gets their hands on a lot of gaming computers, I'm always surprised when I get something that can hang that's not really intended for that purpose. So, when booting up the Dell XPS 17, I can honestly say that I was surprised. Whether you're a bit shy about your extracurriculars or need a laptop that has the horsepower to handle editing work, within reason, the Dell XPS 17 is more than capable. The review unit tested here is quite powerful with a 13th Gen Intel Core i7, 32GB of RAM, and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060. Of course, you can scale down a little bit to 16GB of RAM and a 4050 GPU. But you can also go up to 64GB of RAM and a 4080, not to mention an Intel Core i9 CPU. Frankly, it might be more power than you might need, depending on what you're considering this for. But more power is better than not enough, especially when you have a high-resolution screen to power. The UHD Plus, 4K and 16:10 ratio, panel here is sharp, bright, and vibrant and has a delta E of 0.24. Color coverage is 188.8% sRGB and 133.7% DCI-P3 as well, so you don't have to worry about accuracy or color gamuts if you want to do some photo or video editing. At the very least, watching the latest streaming series is a pleasure. The sound quality is pretty good for a laptop, though don't believe Dell's claims that you can mix on this. For any budding musician that's considering this, get some good speakers. Interestingly, the only issue I have performance-wise is the fact that Dell only included a 720p webcam.